The dust hasn't even yet settled on the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro launch, but we now have the first Pixel 8 rumours surfacing. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. Basically, this all boils down to a new report from German outlet WinFuture, which suggests that Google's next generation smartphones, which would likely be the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro as you kind of would expect, will be using a chipset that carries the codename Zoomer. It doesn't stop there though. Basically, we don't know tons about Zoomer, but what is certainly not a massive surprise is that this chip appears to be an offshoot of the Exynos 2300, meaning that Google's next chip, which will presumably be called the Tensor G3, although we don't know at this stage, will again be made by Samsung, as it has from Tensor G1, Tensor version 1, Tensor G2, and now, hopefully, Tensor G3 later down the line. Specifics aren't yet known regarding Google's changes with this next generation of Tensor, but Samsung has reportedly still been actively working on the Exynos 2300. That's despite apparent plans for Samsung to ditch the chipset in its flagship Galaxy S23 series, which as yet is unannounced, which will instead use the Qualcomm Snapdragon highest end processors, likely the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Whether that means Exynos chips beyond that, well, it's anyone's guess at this stage. We're not 100% certain, but this new information does kind of throw things into perspective, and it does look like Google are going to continue to use Samsung for their chip foundry. The reason why this report is important though is that this same Zoomer codename was previously reported by Galaxy Club and a developer, Kubo Wojciechowski, who we've mentioned before on the channel. The latter developer has actually claimed that the chip will be fabricated on Samsung's 3nm process. And if you didn't actually already know, the Tensor G2 was expected to be built using a 4nm fabrication process, but post-launch it was discovered to have been manufactured using a 5nm process. This effectively means that the smaller the manufacturing process, usually the efficiency goes up as the performance increases. It's whether or not the Tensor G2 and Pixel 7 actually uses that 5nm manufacturing process rather than a 4nm, as we expected ahead of launch, actually matters, is going to be a bigger question for you to answer. If the Pixel 7 series runs how you expect it to, with prowess in areas like machine learning that other devices don't have, and it is exceptional at image and language processing, does that make this phone a no-go? And does this make the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro by extension a no-go? Well, that's quite an interesting thing to think about. That said though, this could help offer that even greater performance and efficiency gains for what is a modest processor, at least Tensor compared to the rest of the market. The recent Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 offers far more processing power than the Tensor G2 is currently capable of, so for people who want the highest end specifications, this might be of interest. Another interesting tidbit from this report about the Tensor G3, as it's not explicitly named, is the supposed modem that it will be using. This is expected to be left unchanged from the Tensor G2. Google was found to be a little bit behind the curve quite dramatically with the modem on its original Tensor chip on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, but modem performance on the Pixel 7 series, at least in our experience, has been far better thanks to the move to an Exynos 5300 modem. It's not perfect, but it's very good and offers solid telephony and mobile data connection, so it's great to see Google persisting with a constantly connected and more connectability, if that's even a real word, modem in their upcoming lineup too. The final thing mentioned in this report is two Google devices carrying the codenames Shiba and Husky, dog name this time around, which is interesting. It doesn't take a genius though to decipher that these codenames likely do refer to the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro respectively, and it fits in with the rest of Google's animal naming conventions which they've used for quite a while now. What is interesting though is that both of these devices seemingly come with 12GB of RAM, which is quite interesting given the 8 and 12 separators between the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro. They also differ in display resolutions as well, with a 2268 by 1080 display on the Shiba and 2822 by 1344 on the Husky device. For the eagle-eyed, these resolutions are actually lower than the current gen Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, and that does actually set a few alarm bells ringing in our mind. And because of that, these specs should probably be taken with a grain of salt, even though it's only one display specification at this point in time. And because these resolutions are listed are not actually in line with any Google's prior devices, we would obviously be pretty surprised if a downgrade to the Husky Pro tier, if it is that Pro tier device, were to come from Google. So it's quite a confusing little extra tidbit as of this report. Realistically though, we don't actually know a great deal about the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro. It seems like it's far too early. We've only just had the Pixel 7 series launch, but that is the first potential news on the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro, and we're sure that these will get either confirmed or outright pushed aside later down the line. It's definitely not earth-shattering news, nor is it too drastically out of the realm of possibility though that it's not believable. Considering that the Pixel 7 series has, as we just mentioned, only just launched a few weeks ago, the work on the next generation is clearly well underway, and let's hope that Google can continue to build upon the solid foundations that were laid back with the Pixel 6 series in 2021. We could be in for a big 2023 for the Pixel lineup if this is to be believed. I want to ask you though, what do you think? Interesting tidbit or just not all that interesting to you? Do you even care? Do you want to see a more powerful or the most powerful Android phone be a Pixel later next year? Or are you just happy as things are? Because for the most part, the Pixel 7 series and even the Pixel 6 by extension run really nicely, even though they're not the most powerful phones out there. Let us know down in the comment sections below. But as always, until next time, this is Damien with 9to5 Google. Thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.